It's Survival Solutions USA here, and I'd like to talk about some lessons that I learned from scuba diving a number of years ago when I was taking classes to be certified for scuba diving. And these are some tablets here, some tables that allow you to decide how long you can stay underwater, at what depth, and for how many minutes before you need to come up and allow your body to off-gas some of the things that build up in your bloodstream when you're under the water. And that allows you to avoid getting what's commonly called the bends, where you have nitrogen building up in your bloodstream, and it can alter your life and even kill you, and alter the way that you live your life if you survive it, because of pain and the way it will affect your body and your mind afterwards, if you're able to survive. And one of the things that our instructors pounded into our heads was the idea that we should plan our dives carefully with these tables and how much oxygen we had, and then pay attention to that. So we should plan our dives, and then we should dive our plan. And I think this has an application for anyone who's wanting to be prepared or who might encounter a survival situation, whether that's an urban environment, a suburban environment, or even a wilderness environment. Whether you're in the woods, the city, that you should have a plan for what you're doing, and then you should follow that plan. Plan your dive, dive your plan. Plan your trip, and then stay on that schedule. When it comes to a backpacking trip, if somebody knows, you know, and you've left them information saying, I'm going to be on a backpacking trip for 7 days, I'm leaving on this date, I'm going to be back on this date, I'm going to check in with you somewhere in between there. If you don't hear back from me, you know, on the 7th day, let somebody know this is where I'm going to be, somewhere on this trail. And if that doesn't happen, then they know to come get you. That's part of planning your trip or planning your hike, and then stay on that plan, because it doesn't do a whole lot of good if you've told somebody this is where I'm going to go on this backpacking trip or camping trip. You don't show up and you decided to go camping in a completely different wilderness area or a completely different state, and they have people looking for you in one area and you're hundreds of miles or 20 or 30 miles in a completely opposite direction. That's not going to help you. So I think it's important for individuals who are wanting to be prepared and wanting to survive adverse environments to have planned what they're going to do, and then to stick with that plan as much as possible. Now, there certainly is situations where we should be willing to adapt to how we're going to survive, how we're going to operate in a given situation, but that should be done very carefully and with a lot of thought. You know, in a scuba diving, if I can come back to that metaphor, a scuba diving situation, I may only have oxygen and other chemicals in my tank for another 30 minutes. Trying to stay underwater for an hour and a half longer than I have is insane. But I might be able to slow my breathing down, be more careful, and extend 30 minutes of air slightly. You know, I might be able to buy myself 4 or 5 extra minutes there if I'm really careful to do something that I needed to. If I got tangled or caught in something, I could force myself to calm down, and I could breathe carefully, and then I could get my knife out and cut myself free from whether that's monofilament fishing line or whether it's kelp or something like that. There are ways to adapt to that situation, but it would be insane for me to try and stay underwater for an hour and a half when I only have 30 minutes left of oxygen in my tank. I'm going to die. So plan your dive, and dive your plan. Plan your camping trip, and then stay on that plan, so that somebody could come and help you if you needed that help and were unable to get out, or to call out, or to get additional help by your actions, but they would know. And that's probably a good thing to do when you're out on trips, whether that's a road trip or something like that. If people are expecting you, let people know when you're planning on getting in. It's so easy to get used to having all the technology that we have, all the gizmos and gadgets, and maybe cell phones and things like that. So easy to just be able to quickly change plans and do things, and that's perfectly fine in many situations. But there might be a situation where it's just a good idea to stay with the plan you already had and use that. And particularly in a survival situation where you could get worried and you could become panicked, I think it's probably the best idea is to plan very carefully what you're going to be doing, and then stick with that plan. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. My goal here at Survival Solutions USA is to produce quality video reviews on urban, suburban, and wilderness survival solutions to problems you might encounter in your day-to-day life.